Hello, and thank you for taking a moment to watch this particular video. On this video, I want to talk to you about the concept of creating multiple admins within the PhoneBurner platform. Now, before we dive into things to consider when creating multiple admins within PhoneBurner, I want to point out that our system is more organizational based as opposed to permission based. Now, if you're used to systems like Salesforce or Zoho, those are permission based, meaning you can take any user and just change the permission on that user and they're now an admin. They now have access to admin stuff, right? And you can create different profiles. Whereas PhoneBurner, it's all about organization. Think of it like an org chart. So if you're looking on the screen here, you can see I've got a super admin, and that super admin has sub-admins, as well as just individual users that are direct to the super admin. And each sub-admin has sub-users, or potentially even sub-admins with sub-users below them. So now I'm hoping you kind of have an idea that concept. I'm hoping you're understanding that concept of creating a super admin and how the users would fit within that. Now I want to take a few minutes now just to talk to you about some of the things that you'll need to consider when evaluating whether or not you should create additional admins, or what we refer to as sub-admins, within your organization. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is reporting. Are you thinking about creating sub-admins because you want to have different people having access to reports? What kind of reports do they need to have access to? Do they need to have access to all reports for all users or just some users? Another thing that you're going to want to consider is content sharing. What types of content are you going to be sharing? And these are things like your dispositions, the voicemail library, the caller ID library, things like that, emails. Will there be certain groups that have certain types of content that is only relevant to their organization, to their group? And do they need to be able to share it within that group? Another thing that you're going to want to consider is how you're going to manage the data. Are you going to be a networked account, a standalone account? Will you have different organizations managing data in different ways? Another thing to consider is lead stream. Are you going to be taking advantage of lead stream? Do you have different groups that need to build out their own lead streams? Or would you be managing all of your lead streams from one central location? And then, of course, there's the do not call list within your PhoneBurner account. Do you only need one do not call list across the entire organization? Do you need to have different organizations maintaining their own do not call lists? And then, of course, local ID. Are you going to be using the local ID feature in PhoneBurner? And do you need to have local ID for every user? It's important to note that the local ID feature in PhoneBurner is admin based. Local ID has to be purchased for each admin group. If you have multiple admins, multiple sub-admins, you would have to purchase a local ID plan for each of those admin groups. When your team is importing data, do they need to be able to scrub against the entire organization? Do they need to be able to scrub against a smaller subset of users? Advanced searching. Do you have multiple people that need to be doing advanced searches across the entire team or across certain subsections of people within the organization? Will your team be transferring contacts between each other using the transfer feature? So as you can see, there are a lot of things that we need to consider when you're trying to decide or determine whether or not it makes sense to create an organization within PhoneBurner with multiple admins. And because there's a lot to consider, we actually do charge a setup fee for every sub-admin that you create. And before we even go down that path, we recommend that you take some time and sit down with your onboarding specialist to discuss all of these things related to a sub-admin and the sub-admin concept. And if you haven't yet purchased PhoneBurner, take a moment to discuss this with your sales rep so that they can prepare the onboarding specialist for your specific needs. Thank you for taking a moment to learn about the multiple admin concepts within PhoneBurner. I hope this has been helpful for you. Thanks again, and happy dialing.